Episode 201, I Have a Way. Zack truly felt that Director Hamilton was pretending to be a bear. How else could he get drunk so quickly? He was a hero before, but just in a few minutes, he was already lying on the table. It wasn't even a process. After that, Maria held her head and said helplessly to him, "Fine, I became listless again." Zack was very surprised. "No? What does this mean?" Mariah explained helplessly. "Every time he drinks with people he likes, it's like this. So everyone gives him the nickname of One and Done. It was probably because he was not afraid of his opponent in the first two glasses, but he successfully scared himself with the third glass. It was not an act." As she spoke, Mariah called for Zack's help to bring Director Hamilton to the bathroom so that he could scatter the flowers and have a good time. Zack felt that this was not possible. It was only 3 glasses of wine. With Director Hamilton's method of drinking, 3 glasses of wine should not cause him to pass out. But since Maria had already said so, he could only do as she said. He and Maria went to the bathroom together. Maria supported Director Hamilton, and Director Hamilton knelt in front of the toilet bowl. His head drooped, as if he was confessing to the toilet, making Zack want to laugh. However, when he shifted his gaze to the side, he found a box of small blue medicine pills on the ground. They were all written in German. This small pill should have fallen out of Director Hamilton's pocket. Zack was worried that he might have some other illness. He bent down and picked up the pill. He had just taken a look at it. In the end, Maria grabbed it in one go and stuffed it into her own pocket. "It's a special cold medicine. Director Hamilton caught a cold before, so he bought this medicine from overseas." Zack hummed and did not say anything else. Although he didn't read all the German words, he had at least seen a few keywords, such as physiology or obstacles. Those words, when combined, had nothing to do with catching a cold. No wonder Mariah had said with a bitter smile that marriage was not only harmonious, but also something else. At this time, Director Hamilton indeed began to perform the most likely outcome of drinking too much. He faced the toilet bowl and started to vomit crazily, with a lot of tears and snot. Mariah, who was patting on the side, complained with heartache. "If you can't drink, then why won't you drink less?" Zack could not bear to watch, so he went outside to get a cup of warm water so that Director Hamilton could rinse his mouth after vomiting. After getting the warm water, he found that Director Hamilton had already fallen asleep with the toilet in his arms. Mariah was bending over to help him wipe the filth on his face. She was very patient and did not show any signs of averting dirtiness. Zack felt that this Director Hamilton was worth it. It was really not easy to get such a virtuous wife who was willing to take care of him. Not only was she beautiful, but her heart and her figure were also beautiful, especially the charm and culture that had been brought about by the passage of time. At this time, Mariah was reaching out to Zack to ask for the cup. She felt quite grateful in her heart. Zack was especially attentive and even helped her husband to get the cup. After helping Mariah bring Director Hamilton back to the bedroom, the two of them returned to the dining room to eat. Zack originally wanted to leave, but Mariah felt very apologetic. They had agreed to treat someone to a meal, but in the end, before they could even eat, Director Hamilton had already collapsed, and Zack even had to work with him. That was why Zack stayed after she insisted on him staying. At this moment, besides Director Hamilton, who was drunk to the point of unconsciousness, only he and Maria were left in the house. The nanny took a leave of absence today, and it was precisely because of this that Mariah personally cooked lunch. During lunch, the two of them only chatted for a while, and then did not say anything else. The awkwardness in the morning in the living room made it a little difficult for the two of them to be alone. So after thinking about it, Zack broke the ice. "I'm sorry you are really too beautiful, so I couldn't help but be a little absent-minded." Mariah did not expect Zack to say this, so she acted very shy. Her shy appearance was like that of a 17 or 18-year-old girl, and it did not compliment her age at all. But that feeling did not have the slightest bit of disharmony. and instead made her seem even more charming. Mariah said softly, "The past matters. Don't say any more." Zack replied, "But there is one thing. I think it is better to say it. But before this, you must be misunderstood. I don't have any other intentions. I just want to tell you purely, I think I have a way." Mariah didn't quite understand what Zack meant, but she was willing to believe, so she gestured for him to continue. Zack said, "Actually, I know some German, so I can tell you what kind of healing effect that medicine has." When Zack pointed out this point, Mariah's face immediately turned red, as if some taboo secret had been discovered. But before she could react, Zack continued, "There was an elder in my family who was probably in the same situation, but he acted too ruthlessly when he was young. So after going through a series of procedures and treatment, he was barely able to do that kind of thing. The doctor said that if it was a congenital reason, then there was still a way." Mariah understood what Zack meant. She quickly said, "It was not done when he was young. It was congenital." After saying that, she felt that it was inappropriate. Such a private matter. How could she mention it to Zack, who she had just met for the first time? But for the sake of her husband and herself, Mariah still held back her embarrassment and said, "Back then, when I first followed him, he was already like this. Every time it was only a few minutes. And furthermore, including the time to put on clothes and take off clothes. He is famous, and it's not easy to go to the hospital to see him. He can only go overseas to find a doctor and most of the time uses herbal medicines. He would take the prescriptions from the hospital and the home remedies quite a few times, and it's still the same state. So, in order to be able to do that, he can only buy it from Germany on behalf of someone else. The medicine to cure the symptoms, but not the root cause. I also advised him not to take it, but he refused. But even so, it can only be delayed by 4 to 5 minutes each time." As she spoke, Mariah suddenly raised her head and looked at Zack as if she was looking at her savior. "If you know where a doctor can treat this kind of situation, can you tell me? I can promise you any condition, and I will satisfy you, no matter what." Episode 202. Strong Background. "I'm willing to do anything." As soon as she said this, Mariah realized the problem in her words. If Zack took the opportunity to ask her to do that kind of thing, but reality proved that Zack was not that kind of person who took the opportunity to blackmail. "This matter is just a matter of words to me, so you don't need to be so solemn." After finding an appropriate adjective, Zack told her all the information he knew. There is a private hospital overseas. The doctor's name is Duncan. He has a secret prescription passed down from his ancestors and has combined it with modern surgery expectations. The effect should be very good. As far as I know, he has cured many congenital patients. Zack was about to say something else when a desolate look appeared on Mariah's charming face. "You don't need to say it. I already know. We have seen Dr. Duncan before, but he did not treat us at all. For some reason, he didn't want to treat the people in the film industry, and no one would treat him." Zack suddenly remembered a foul-mouthed rumor. "When I was young, I heard that he had a relationship with a foreign female celebrity. Later, his relationship fell apart. Since then, he swore that he would no longer treat patients in the film industry. I just treated it as a joke at that time. I didn't expect it to be true." Mariah smiled bitterly and shook her head. "I have never heard of this rumor, but from what I hear now, it should be true." As she was talking, Mariah's eyes suddenly lit up. "You know a lot." Knowing a lot meant that Zack had a wide network of connections, and Zack was so young, so his family's influence would definitely be extraordinary. Perhaps he could even help Dr. Duncan. Mariah was so excited that she grabbed Zack's hand and said, "Can you help us?" Mariah soon realized that it was inappropriate to do so. However, she could not care about that anymore. She said painfully, I have been in so much pain all these years. I can't tell outsiders about the troubles between husband and wife. Director Hamilton treats me so well, so I can't do anything to betray him. So my life is really sad. Outsiders can only see my bright and beautiful appearance. They say I'm a frozen goddess. And I'm not a disadvantage when compared to a 20-year-old girl. But I know my face. But what's the use of that? No matter how beautiful my body is, in terms of husband and wife, I can't even compare to an ordinary peasant woman. So I beg you, if you have a way to talk to Dr. Duncan, I'm willing to do anything for you. But what's the use of that? No matter how beautiful I am, no matter how good my body is, in terms of life as a husband and wife, I'm not even comparable to an ordinary peasant woman. Really, if you want to do that, I can also satisfy you. When she said this, Mariah felt very embarrassed in her heart. It made her feel like she wanted to die. A woman in her 40s was talking about this with a young man in his 20s and taking the initiative to ask for it. This kind of shame could not be imagined. But she really couldn't take it anymore. In another 10 years, she would completely become an old woman. Therefore, she could only thicken her skin and shamelessly ask Zack for help, hoping that Zack could help her. After seeing Mariah's anxious expression, Zack signaled her to let go of his hand and took out his phone. After putting the phone in front of his eyes, he turned on his irises. With a beep, the screen unlocked. Mariah felt that it was very shocking. She knew that there was a phone with facial recognition features, and it was very weird. But this was clearly not facial recognition. She saw that there was a red reflection in Zack's pupils. This meant that he was scanning his pupils. A phone actually had an iris verification mechanism? How awesome would this phone be? Zack quickly found Duncan's contact information in the underground market and sent him an email. After putting down the phone, Zack said, "I don't know if my face is big enough. If it is big enough, I should be able to get him to agree. But it doesn't matter if it is not big enough. I will find someone with a big enough face to make him agree. So, don't worry about this matter." If it was Zack who said those words previously, Mariah would never believe it. But after experiencing Zack's knowledge and the phone with the retina verification, Mariah believed it. She was not an ordinary person. Her wealth and connections were enough for her to understand that there was a group of people in the world that she could not afford to offend. She probed, "Do you come from a wealthy family?" After spending half a day with Mariah, Zack understood that Mariah was not a talkative, gossipy woman. She just wanted comfort, a comfort that could give her courage. For example, there was a powerful family behind Zack, which was a comfort. It could comfort her to relax and wait for the opportunity to contact Dr. Duncan. After seeing through this point, "You can say so," Zack said. Mariah seemed to have taken a charming pill. It was indeed a super large family. In fact, what Zack said was barely considered a big family. He meant that his family was bigger than any other family. However, he did not say the specific details, and Mariah did not need to know. Mariah's heart was settled. She felt that her husband finally had hope this time, and her remaining 10 years of youth finally had hope. However, just as she poured her wine glass full to express her gratitude, her phone rang. It was a phone number from abroad, and she was very surprised. She had thought that it would be another immigration promotion or real estate promotion. By judging from the number, it should be from overseas. She had an unbelievable thought in her heart, so she quickly picked up the phone and wanted to verify it. Episode 203, A Wonderful Mistake. The next moment, the once cold voice rang on the phone. "Esteemed Madame, I am Dr. Duncan. I sincerely apologize for my previous attitude towards you and your husband. It is my greatest honor to have you find me to treat your husband's illness, but I chose to ignore your illness. As a doctor, this is an unforgivable mistake. But I still want to use my medical skills to serve your husband, and I hope to gain you and your husband's understanding. If you are willing to forgive me, please tell me your detailed address. I have already sent my assistant to book a plane ticket to your area. If there are no accidents, I should be able to prepare the surgery for your husband tomorrow. Duncan was especially polite on the phone, which was in stark contrast to the coldness she had when they had met several times. Esteemed Madame, if my disrespect towards you and your husband can be forgiven, can you please tell your good friend Mr. Marquez that I will be very respectful and devoted to him? I am even willing to be his servant and offer my most sincere loyalty. Mariah was frightened. The high and mighty Dr. Duncan was actually willing to serve Zack at any cost. Zack was so powerful. With the Duncan phone call, Mariah's heart was completely at ease. She quickly said to Duncan on the other end of the phone, Mr. Duncan, we will go over. I dare not trouble you to come over. Mariah was still not used to Duncan's politeness. She even spoke with honorifics. But Duncan was clearly flattered. As Zack's friend, Mariah was undoubtedly extremely noble. He quickly said in a trembling voice, Esteemed Madame, if you doubt me and want to come over, that is to not accept my apology. This will make me feel very uneasy. Currently, Duncan's attitude had taken a 180-degree turn. Mariah was so enthusiastic and was not used to it. After agreeing, she gave the address and said on the phone, Thank you. But Duncan replied, No. I should be thanking you, esteemed Madame. It is my greatest honor to be able to serve you. After the call ended, Mariah's mood could not calm down for a long time after talking to Dr. Duncan. The husband and wife could not ask for anything, but they were quickly called after a message from Zack. Their attitude had changed tremendously. This was something she did not dare to imagine before, but today, it really happened. She didn't know how to thank Zack. She wanted to give him money, but Zack obviously didn't care about her little money. She wanted to promise him any help in the future, but Zack didn't need her to help at all. She couldn't help either. She even wanted to take the initiative to thank Zack with her body. Although it was shameful, it was the only way she could thank Zack. However, Zack didn't seem to need such a strong payment. There were so many young and beautiful women. How could he possibly care about a yellow flower like her? Mariah really didn't know what to do. She could only grab a glass of wine and toast Zack. Thank you. Other than filling the glass, Mariah could not think of any other way to express her sincerity. But even so, she felt that her sincerity was not enough, so she filled the second glass. Zack could not stop her no matter what, so he could only accompany Mariah to drink. However, he had already had 3 glasses of wine in the first place. And now, he accompanied Mariah to drink 3 glasses, which was half a kilogram. It made him feel dizzy, and he really could not drink anymore. Fortunately, Mariah was not the kind of person who could drink. At this moment, she was swaying even more violently than Zack. Zack had no other choice but to stand up and support Mariah, helping her to the bedroom. After leaving Director Hamilton's house, Zack walked down the street. Coincidentally, there were some drink shops nearby. He walked in ordered a cold drink and sat near the window. After the cold drink came up, Zack held the cup with a straw in his mouth. He took a sip and felt that there seemed to be something outside the window. It was a big floor-to-ceiling window, a transparent tempered glass, and everything on the other side was very clear. Then he saw a beggar wearing a torn cotton jacket standing in front of the window. He grinned and pointed his sleeve at the window. He aimed with his sleeve at the window, and Zack saw a black gun barrel with a silencer.